Somebody asked me, what does a queen do while the swarm builds new comb in their new location? Hey everybody, David Burns here to answer a truckload of questions for you guys today. And let's jump right into it. So yeah, what does a queen do while the swarm builds the new comb in their new location? Very good question. She stands there with her legs crossed and says, please hurry up, I need to lay some eggs. No, not really. So the queen, you know, before the swarm happened, they didn't feed her as much. They kind of got her lightened up a little bit in her diet so that she wouldn't have a lot of heaviness from the eggs so she could fly. A mated queen that's laying really well doesn't fly well at all. And so they had to get her flight ready. And so she's not really in an urgent state to lay eggs. So she kind of just waits. Now, it doesn't take long for that swarm to build comb at all. So within one day, they can easily build probably equal to what would be one side of a frame, or, you know, if you had a frame in there, both sides, half of it could be built in a day, maybe more. So it doesn't take long at all. That's a good question. And is this normal, or is there something I can do to correct it? I've tried checkerboarding with no success. The third hive has exploded and already have the second deep on it. Checkerboarding is only done to the honey super, not the brood area. And so, true sense of checkerboarding, I've got a video where you can watch me demonstrate and talk about checkerboarding. James asks, David, what about insurance in case someone becomes ill from honey products? Now, that would be really odd and rare for anybody to get sick on honey. I'm not saying it's impossible, but really next to impossible. But if you run any kind of bee business where you're selling bee products, people are on your property around bees, whatever, you really need all the insurance that you can get. Believe me. Let me say that I have been very thankful in the past that I was heavily insured. So you need to have all kind of insurance, even if you're just selling honey. I know that's overkill, but we live in a society today where you can lose the farm over one little incident. So you need insurance, you need an umbrella plan, all that stuff. It doesn't really cost that much. If you're serious about your beekeeping hobby and you're selling stuff to the public, yeah, that's part of your business expense. You just got to do it. Even though you don't like it, maybe got to do it. Elizabeth, David, we have 6 supers with honey from a dead out in November, which we kept all winter. 2 nukes arrived this week. How would you arrange these honey supers in the new nukes and deeps? I would probably give my new nukes maybe 1 or 2 extra frames of honey. It doesn't take a lot, you know, to get them going. A nucleus should arrive with enough food that they're going to do a good shape. Now, if you were dealing with a new package, then yeah, a few more frames of honey would get them going good, but you don't need that much. Maybe a frame or 2 to help out. Gary says, David, where did you and Sherry meet? Well, we met in 1974. Yeah, I was 16 years old. Is that right? No, I was 14. We must have met in 1976. I was 16 years old, 76, okay. And I lived in the country, and across the road was another house, and I looked out the window one day, and there wasn't a lot of houses around us, and there was a nice-looking young lady of 14 years old, I know, and she was hanging out outdoors babysitting. And so what else can a 16-year-old guy do but go over and introduce himself to the 14-year-old new lady in the area, right? Wow. So anyway, a whole bunch of years later, we have 6 children, 13 grandchildren. We are madly in love. We have a great life together. And yeah, very, very strong marriage. And Sherry, you know, many of you know Sherry from working with her. She handles most of the customer things at our business. And Sherry was raised by a dad who was a Navy guy. And after he got out of the Navy, he was a fireman and a meat cutter. And in the family, her other siblings were 3 brothers. Let me just say, you don't want to have a tiff with Sherry. She will win. Yeah, she's a very loving, kind, compassionate person. And I appreciate so much of what she does here on the YouTube channel, on live streams, with our business and all that. So that's how we met, Gary. Can a nuke grow fast enough to swarm? Yeah, it really can. A lot of people don't realize that a nucleus is in, when you buy it, they're on 5 frames in a 5-frame box. They're maxed out when you get them. They really are. We make nucleuses every year, and we sell nucleus to our customers. And wow, sometimes they'll report that they got home and there's a swarm cell in there. I know, that's how strong we make them. I don't like that either, but we try not to let that happen. But they're ready to swarm. Hey, Paul. Thanks, David, for great information. Very helpful. I've got 2 hives, very full of bee brood, larvae, honey, pollen, some queen cups, no queen cells. When do I do a split? Thanks. Always let your bees tell you. You're doing the right thing. You notice that you have, some queen cups, but no cells. You're doing the right thing. You're using critical thinking. Man, I got pumped and excited during the live stream last night talking about how to use common sense and critical thinking in beekeeping. And Paul, you're right on track here. The bees tell you. A lot of people think that your Facebook group is going to tell you, that you're going to look at the calendar and decide by what zone you live in that you'll be able to figure this out. Some of you go to your bee club and they give you marching orders what day this happens. None of that makes a difference. It really doesn't. Nobody knows what your bees are going to do except your bees. And that's different. Here's another example. Let's say you're watching a YouTube channel. I'm a content creator on YouTube, but let's say you're watching somebody on YouTube and they're saying, oh, we're splitting hives and we're doing this and that. They may live in the deep south and they may be a month different than you in climate. And you might start thinking, oh, well, maybe I'll go make a split too because they did and it worked out good for them. But look, not everybody's bees are the same. Some of you say that you watch my video because you live in my area. Well, look, it doesn't work that way either. You can watch me do something. I am pumped and excited. You can watch me do something in one of my hives, but every hive is different. I've got hives on the same property here that are different. Some may have swarm cells, some don't. So just because you live in the same area and that's kind of what the date says, and that's what the flowers are telling you, you got to let your individual hive tell you when they're going to swarm. So you got to go back, Paul, and look into the hive regularly once a week. Make sure those queen cups aren't getting charged with an egg and a larvae. And as soon as they do, split them. Boom! That was fun. Hey, Cheryl, do bees bite or taste you with their mouth parts rather than sting you? 2 bees went up my sleeve today and it felt like they were doing something, but it wasn't sting, huh? Yeah, they have mandibles. Little harder things around their mouth parts. Could they pinch you hard enough where you would feel it? Yeah, probably. Would they do it? Rarely, but I could see where they could do that. They can do that. You were probably feeling their proboscis. Sometimes if you're sweaty, they'll lick up the salt off your body. Of course they do. They're insects. They like that salt. And so, yeah, I felt that. I've had bees do that too. Hey, Rob, great videos. Thanks for your knowledge. Question, is it a good idea to install 2 packages with 1 queen in a 2 deep setup? I'm thinking maybe it would make 1 strong hive. Yeah, that's going to work for you. Nothing wrong with that. It will make, instead of 10,000 bees in a package, you're going to dump 20,000, 2 packages in there with 1 queen. That'd be fine. That works. It's kind of a waste though, to be honest with you. Most packages of 10,000 bees and a queen build up really fast. That will give you more bees. Would they build up faster? I think they would. But it's costing you twice as much. Is one way to look at it. But it's fine to do that. Oh, find a home for that other queen though. Hey, Rick, can I save the queen in a resource hive and let the supersedure hatch? Absolutely. So in other words, you got a hive that is making a queen. And so you're going to save the queen that they're replacing, that they're superseding. Watch, why are they superseding her? Let's use critical thinking skills. They're replacing her for a reason. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe she's great, but they don't think she is. They're superseding her with a new queen. So yeah, you can save it and see how she does. Michael, David, I have 2 packages coming early in May. I have 2 winter bee kind boards left. Would it be okay to put them on the top of my boxes that I install my packages in? Let's say no. No, not really. Only if it gets cold enough where the bees can't forage below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Because they need liquid so they can fly and do stuff. So metabolize the sugar water into wax to build comb in their package. So it's not a good idea. I'd rather you feed them 1-to-1 sugar water with our additives. We sell additives on our website, but you know, the powder that you add to 1-to-1 and amino bee booster and honeybee healthy, you add to 1-to-1 sugar water. That would be better for you. Yep. Why is it recommended to not use a salic acid in spring and summer? Really, who recommended that? I think those that love the use of a salic acid find it quite enjoyable to use all the time. People that I know, I'll be honest with you, a lot of people that are really into salic acid, vaporize and all, they do it quite often. They do it a lot, all spring and summer. Absolutely. It doesn't kill below the cap brood. And so that's why you have to do it more frequently. Let me say it this way. That's why beekeepers use it more frequently. Because if you do one treatment, it only kills the phoretic mites, the adult mites walking around. And so you want to kill, there's a lot of mites under the cap brood and the pupae. And so beekeepers will drop back in there, in 4 days and do it again, 4 more days, do it again. They'll do it 4 or 5 times in a row like that. Yeah, I think a lot of my beekeeper comrades tell me that it seems like they're out there all the time vaporizing their hives all spring and summer. I don't know if they should or if that's the right thing, but I mean, that's what a lot of people do. Haven't heard that one. All right, Jason, what's the best way to control ants? I have tried diatomaceous earth with no success. Yeah, ants, the best way to get rid of them is get a hive stand that has kind of feet or legs on it and put those feet or legs in a pan filled with water or vegetable oil where the ants can't cross it. Again, use critical thinking skills. Ants are coming in, how, and block them. As simple as that. And use your brain, your critical thinking, common sense to figure out how's the best way to block ants. A lot of people go, I know you're going to leave comments, oh, I heard that Queen Anne's lace in the inner cover will stop it. No, not if they're, but mainly ants are just getting on the extreme edges of the hive, under the top cover, getting a little bit of something that drip. The little sugar ants aren't a problem, but they look like they are. I get it. Larry says, what's your opinion, pros and cons of providing water to the hive by using a Boardman feeder with just water in it? How about your Burns feeder board? Yeah, my father-in-law, he does that. He's been known to put the sugar water, or no, sorry, just plain water to bees. And I've done it too. I've done it quite often. And yeah, it works really great if your bees need water. Andy, does borax around the hive keep ants away? Reddit. It doesn't keep ants away. What you're trying to do with borax, and by the way, you need a little ant trap where only ants go in. It's a small opening. And the bees can't get in there. If your bees get borax, it'll kill the bees. So you gotta use a little ant trap. But I think the way it works is they take that back to the hive, and the way their bodies ingest the borax, they kind of explode. So they take it back, feed the hive, and the ground blows up. I don't know. It's something like that. I exaggerate, but it is that way. So yeah. All right. Be careful with that. Will kill your bees. Leslie, just got 2 new packages last weekend. I already have 2 strong colonies. Really? In 1 week? Oh, no. You mean you from last year. Okay. Would you recommend moving a frame of cap brood from the strong hive into the package hives to help population? Yes, I would. And especially if they're really a strong populated hive, you can move over a frame of cap brood. Don't bring over eggs or larvae because your new package is going to have to work too hard to take care and feed the developing larvae. So just move cap brood. They just need to keep it warm. It will emerge and become a great workforce. Wow, I hope you're enjoying this video. It's good information. If you don't know it, it's helpful, isn't it? By the way, subscribe. Bobblehead David is here if you've not met him. Sherry got me this a while back. He's always out of focus. There he is. And he's there promoting the subscribe encouragement for you to subscribe to my channel. We just made it to 165,000 subscribers. So thanks for being a part of my channel. David, did you ever look into trying an AZ style hive? I looked into it and I had one on the property. I was going to work with another beekeeper I was going to get familiar with and all. That fell through. It didn't work out for us. Slovenian hive is what an AZ hive is. But no, I want to so badly, but I'm not sure if I want to spend the money. They seem very expensive. I don't know. I've already experimented with so many other hives other than a Langstroth, and as you know, nothing has been as successful for me. And all the hives that I've tried, and I'm going to make a few people mad here. I've tried so many different hives. Langstroth hives win for me in my area, for me personally. That doesn't mean I'm saying that all of you should give up all your other hives you're trying. I'm not saying that at all. I have a style of beekeeping. I live in an area, whatever the difference is, Langstroth wins for me. Hello, David, second year beekeeper from Greece. Well, thanks for watching from Greece. You were on my live stream, which meant the time zone would have been, what, 6 or 7 hours different, which would have put you in the morning? Wow. I caught 4 swarms and put them in 6 frame boxes. How do I manage them from now on? Wait a minute. Let me read that again. I caught 4 swarms. That's cool. I put them in 6 frame boxes. Gotcha. How do I manage them from now on? That's a lot to ask. That's like saying, I just had a baby. How do I raise them until they're 18? From now on, I just had a baby. What do I do from now on? Well, I can't answer that. There's so much to do from now on. Maybe you should take one of my online beekeeping courses because it sounds like you just caught a swarm and you don't have a lot of experience, so you're wondering what to do from now on. And I can't tell you that in one video, or we'd be here for approximately 6 hours on this question. But there's a lot to learn, but I would encourage you to take a beekeeping class. If you can't take my online class, find a place and take a class. Rick, should you start a nuke in an 8, then transfer to a 10 before winter? Rick, that's a good question. Some people, I'll tell you, to be honest, somebody will make a video on YouTube. I always know, even though I don't watch other beekeepers, I always know when there's been a video made because other people will slam me with the same question. Oh, somebody made a video. Somebody made a video about starting a package in a 5-frame nucleus. And by the way, I made that video like 10 years ago. I'm guilty as charged, but it circles around and people do it again. And I showed how if you put a package in a 5-frame nucleus, boom, they build up extremely fast. And then you move the 5 frames over to the 10-frame box. Now you're asking me, start them in a nucleus, move them to an 8, move them to a 10. Wow. I mean, Rick, that's a lot of going on. I mean, you're talking about, a package in a 5, then move to an 8, move to a 10. And that's way too much work. Really too much labor. Get a follower board. And just, if you're really set on doing it, use a follower board. It's basically it's a frame that's a solid piece of wood. But your bees are confined at that follower board that replaces the frame. So start them at a 5, move it 3 more, and let them go to an 8. If you're running an 8-frame, I'm getting so excited. If you have an 8-frame hive, it makes it through winter just fine. Don't worry about it. 8-frame hive or a 10-frame hive will overwinter the same. Doesn't make a difference, okay? You don't have to go to a 10-frame to overwinter. Wow. Brian, when do I do a walkaway split with a strong population? Do I immediately place a second box on top of the original hive and the new hive? I think you're talking if you make a split, when do you add the second box? Yeah, I think that's what you're saying. 5-7 rule. 5-7 rule. And that is once you get about 5 to 7 frames pulled out in your first deep, then you can add the second deep. And once you get about 5 to 7 frames in your top deep, that's when you can add your honey super. I use that 5-7 rule. Eddie, how quick will a strong hive swarm after the first swarm I am in northern Alabama. How quick will a strong hive swarm after the first swarm? They may never swarm again. If it's a reproductive swarm, they've reproduced, they're happy. If it's an overcrowdedness situation, they could swarm again within probably 30 days. It's going to take them 30 days to raise a new queen, get her laying good. You got a month probably to start worrying about it. It happens to me quite often, though, that they'll swarm 30 days later. Jason, I just got a package. Is it okay to put a queen excluder under the brood to keep the queen in? Absolutely. Sometimes a new package will actually abscond. That's when all the bees leave. And putting that queen excluder under there increases the chance that they won't abscond. Did I say that right? Decreases the chance that they will abscond. Either way. And but they can still abscond without the queen and leave her behind. You're not out of the woods. Can it be bad to inspect a hive with a new unexpected queen before 10 days? Unexpected queen, what is that? A supersedure showed up? Raised a replacement queen, maybe? Is that what you mean? Yeah, let's wait 10 days after your new queen, because that gives the queen a chance to mate and you to evaluate the eggs. David, I am first-year beekeeper. Some kids were interested in seeing hives. Is it okay to take a frame and put it in a plexiglass, one frame nuke, for a few hours and bring it back? Oh, I love it. I actually have one, and I bought it. It's a single frame observation hive. Oh, that's the one I made a video where I wet my finger and I slide it across the plexiglass and it goes, and all the bees freeze. It paralyzes bees. As soon as I stop, they resume their activity. That is awesome. And I think we should invent a little device that you could take to the bee yard, turn it on, and it would make that noise. And all the bees, instead of stinging you, would just go in the hive. And they would let you inspect while the noise is being played. Brilliant idea. I tell you what, you invent it, make a few billion, send a little bit back my way. I'm getting old. By the way, this is the only way I make money is on honeybees, so it's a thin living. All right, but yeah, you can. Oh yeah, you can do that. It's fun to do that. Katie, so after 10 days, you still see nothing new. Then combine, get them a new queen. So you got a hive, and you don't see anything going on, nothing new after 10 days. It does sound like a queen issue. Is a queen in there? Look for a queen cell. If you don't see anything, going to have to get a new queen. Can I take 2 frames of eggs, 2 frames of brood, and pull them above my honey super and let them make queen cells, then take 2 splits into 2 nukes from those 4 frames? No. Next question. Well, the reason is because, and this is again, critical thinking skills. Here's a bit of information. Listen up, everybody. This is going to be good for everyone involved. Here's the deal. Queen excluder is too thin because a queen up here, let's see, they probably won't raise a queen up there because brood pheromone is being transferred through that thin queen excluder. Possible that they might. It's better to use a double screen or a snell grow board or something like that. More controlled gap and such. That might work out better for you. A double screen board is going to work better. I'm not saying it won't work for you. Try it. Try it and let us know. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, okay. Next question. When in the year do I need to remove my entrance reducer? I'm in Oklahoma. Entrance reducers, again, let's use our critical thinking, common sense skills. I really feel that an entrance reducer is not vitally important. It can be left in a small setting and bees do really well. A lot of people think that it's going to restrict bees, hinder honey production and all that. I've taken bees out of houses that had a little break in the mortar between 2 bricks, and they had massive amount of honey in there. Bees find a way to get it done. They cowboy up and they get it done. So the entrance, I mean, I like reducing it in the winter to keep wind from blowing in there, but I don't think there's a definite good or bad, pro or con about the entrance reducer. I think it's something we think is going to make all the difference in the world. I think it only has maybe a 5% difference on influencing bees going in and out. I would say what I'd like to do, and I don't always do this, I usually run no entrance reducers all year. But if I have an introducer, I'll put it in there to the smallest setting, but I flip the opening up, and then on the entrance reducer, I don't have one near me, and then I slide it back so that it's at an angle and about half of the front is opened up, and I let the bees go in and out over that little entrance reducer. Bees like to do that. It gives them a little feeling of security, I think. Have you heard of rhubarb deterring small hive beetles? Nope, haven't heard that. Nuh-uh. And it doesn't seem like it would have any effect on them. I don't think it would. Now, some people talk about rhubarb deterring the Varroa destructor mite because it does have, the rhubarb leaf, I think, has a salic acid in it. But before you jump to conclusions that, oh no, you can be all natural and put rhubarb leaves in your hive and your mite troubles go away, it doesn't work that way either. It's too small of an amount. You can't control it. You don't know how much to put it in there. You don't know what effect it may have on bees. There's so many proven ways to get rid of mites. The rhubarb trick, I haven't heard anybody really say that it's been effective, even though it has a little bit of salic in it. Alrighty, Beekeeper MD. New package this weekend. I plan on to take a few frames, drawn frames from my existing overwintered hive to get them started while keeping the old hive busy. Good. Do you think this is a very good plan? A good plan? I think it's a very good plan. Please do that. Absolutely. James, how do you change out old comb when the frames are full of eggs, brood, and capped? You don't. No, you got to wait until coming out of winter when they're kind of like early spring. They're all up higher in the hive. Some of your lower boxes have less in them in the way of eggs and brood. Those are the ones you can swap out. Hey, Patrick. Hi, David. Can you use an entrance reducer on my cloak board while raising queens? On your cloak board? The cloak board. Do I have one? Where's my cloak board? Oh, there it is. I'm not sure why you're wanting to use a cloak board or entrance reducer on the cloak board. Do you want me to show you the cloak board? Give me a second. I don't have the piece of metal that goes in here, but here's the cloak board, and there's where the bees go in and out. You see it here, and then a piece of metal slides in here where you can break the pheromones entirely. I don't know why I would not. You mean on the bottom? I'm not sure where you're going to put that. Entrance reducer. So I'm a little confused on the question. I don't think I use entrance reducers when I've used the cloak board method. By the way, in the book that Dr. Jan Zvislak and I wrote on raising high quality queens, we have a whole section on using the cloak board. You can purchase that book from us. I think we're out of them right now. Charlie, good to see you here today. Have you done any research on the Apitabs? Oh, Apitabs, yeah. For Mite Control, I don't think the spelling is right. Okay, it's not. But I'm sure you heard about the tablet. I have heard about the tablets. I recently spoke out at the state conference in North Carolina. It was a great meeting, by the way. 800 beekeepers there. It was fun. And anyway, the Apitablet people were there, and I enjoyed talking with them. And I had so many beekeepers coming up and asking me, did I know, because they had a vendor table there, and people were saying, what do you think about the Apitablets? What do you think, David? This guy's really selling them. He says it's great for mite control, but it's not advertised that way. It's not advertised as a mite treatment because he's advertising it sort of like, I think, a feed for bees, And so a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people don't like the idea that it's not labeled to control mites, but it does control mites. I don't know. But anyway, I had a lot of beekeepers come up to me and tell me they've been using it for a while, a few years, and they love it, and it works so great. They had nothing but good. I didn't find anybody that have used it to tell me that it's not a good thing. Let's just say that. They wanted me to try some, okay? I told them I couldn't make it home because I flew out to North Carolina to speak with a backpack. So I don't know. I didn't feel like I could fly back home in my backpack. But anyway, they gave me some and I was going to try it. But then let's just say I didn't make it home with them. The packaging broke and they smelled really loud. Kind of like, I'm going to take a guess, it smelled like thymol to me. But anyway, I did not try to get on board the airplane with my carry-on smelling loudly. That's not a friendly way to fly. So I didn't make it home to try them. I'm going to have to buy some and try them. I do want to buy it. Here's one thing they did tell me. A lot of beekeepers told me they're so thick. They're about this thick. They look like a big, hey, here's a good description. They're about the size and thickness of a rice patty. Have you ever eaten a rice patty? Not a fun thing to eat, but anyway, they're about kind of like that, but they're more sugary, hard sugary like. But I do want to try them because every beekeeper I talk to love them. Oh, by the way, it's a long-time company. The company has been around since 1960. And the dad has been making things, I believe, don't quote me on this, Turkey, overseas somewhere like that. They've been beekeeping forever. They're not a new company that just came out with something. They've been making vitamins and minerals for bees over there forever. They know what they're doing, I think. You can't be, well, they started in 1960, the year I was born. You can't do something for 65 years that doesn't work. This is not a paid promotion, but just common sense. I mean, something's right. Somebody's doing something right over there to be around for 65 years. Why would a hive swarm land in a tree close by and then 15 minutes later all come back and go back into the hive they just swarmed out from? Isn't that a good question? This is a interesting thing that works into my skill set of helping beekeepers have more common sense and critical thinking skills. And if you haven't watched my live stream yet, where I dig into this and I got so pumped and excited about helping beekeepers understand the one thing that nobody tells you, the secret sauce to beekeeping that I told you in my live stream, what the secret sauce was. And it boils down to this too. Why would a hive do that? Common sense, critical thinking is that the only reason for that is the queen is not present. Yeah, mama's not here. Yeah, they're going to go back home because the queen didn't make it out. The queen got lost. She took off. She didn't leave, so they just go back in there. Harrison, I've seen lizards hanging around under my screen board. Do you think they eat beetles or mites? Yeah, I think they do. I think they eat a lot of little insects like that. But you might be onto something. You might be able to raise a specific lizard that beekeepers could buy and you could sell them to beekeepers. No, you can't do that. I don't know, but I'm sure that they're eating scrumptious things under there. Hey, Corey, I have 3 queens coming in the mail tomorrow. How long do I have to install them? How long will they stay alive? I haven't been able to start my splits like I wanted to. If they come to you, Corey, in a individual queen cage, you can put a little dab of honey on there and a little bit of water. Just a minute dab. You don't want to get the queen wet or sticky, but a little bit to help feed them. That's going to sustain them for 3 or 4 days safely. Your attendants are going to die, and so you're going to have to continue to give your queen her own food like that, and she does eat that. Ooh, I got a lot of questions. Thank you guys for asking so many questions. I'm working hard. My job, my 9 to 5, well, it's really like 9 in the morning till 9 at night, but my job is to help beekeepers. I'm working for the common beekeeper. That's what I do. I'm working for the everyday beekeeper. I'm not trying to impress you with who I am. By the way, you're the hero in this. I'm just your guide. I'm just a person that's trying to make you the hero, be a better hero in beekeeping. All right. So Rosie lost her hives. Sad to hear that. They were all dead. My hives are all full of honey. My neighbor raises bees. Can I share the honey with him for his bees? Could it be dangerous? Could it be? Maybe. Would it be? Don't know. There could be spores of American foul brood in the honey that his bees could eat that don't have American foul brood. But again, if you didn't have American foul brood or European foul brood, European doesn't have spores like American foul brood does. But if your hives were healthy, I'd share the wealth. But make sure he knows that. Make sure maybe he's wanting to evaluate whether to take that risk or not. But it's not so risky with honey frames as it is brood frames. Jaden. Hey, David, can I use insect repellent on my pants for ticks when working with bees? I would not. You're trying to keep bees off your pants? What kind of bees do you have? I never wear a bee suit that covers my blue jeans. I just wear a jacket. Sometimes not even that, just a hat and a veil. But I don't think I like insect repellent around my bees. I don't think I like that idea. I don't know if I would put any kind of something on my pants to keep bees away from me. Yeah, don't do that. Not a good idea. Marty, can I use too much smoke to clear bees to see? No. A lot of people say yes, you can, but after 30 years of beekeeping, I've tested that out. My bees are fine. They have antenna cleaners built into their legs that they clean their antennas off when it gets smoky. So no, it's not fun for them to have to take a pause from what they're doing because of all of your smoke. But hey, you have to re-smoke them, don't you? When you're working a hive, after 2 or 3 minutes, you need to smoke them again. So it doesn't really hurt them that much. Herman, I don't feel like a dummy, but will honeybees fly across wide rivers? Interesting, there has been studies done. And I have been in conferences where I've heard conference speakers who have ran the studies. And I believe it was a half a mile of water that they will turn back. Don't quote me. There was a distance where bees would no longer fly. It was just too far. I think if they can see the other side and all, and they know there's honey over there, I don't think a half mile would be that bad. But yeah, further than a half mile, probably so. George, how long can you wait to install a nuke after picking them up from a bee supply due to the weather? Well, a nucleus, a long time. The problem is, we produce nukes and they are so packed. We want the customer to feel satisfied that they're getting a lot of bees, a lot of brood in various stages, and a lot of resources. And so we pack those nucleuses into a near swarm condition. So the longer you wait, the more likely they're going to swarm or make a swarm cell. That's the only downside. Brian, have your bees ever killed their own queen? I just had that with a split I did. Oh, absolutely. They can kill their queen when they want a lot of honey. They're producing a lot of honey. They want the queen to stop laying. Usually they do it when they're superseding her. After, they want to raise a new queen, they'll do it then. Yeah, it's happened to all beekeepers. When I was waxing my foundations, I mixed a little propolis with the beeswax. Is that a good idea? Bees do it. Bees put a little propolis in their wax, and I wrote an article for the American Bee Journal. I've spoken on this, and I've showed pictures how bees will add propolis to the wax to give it strength and for sanitation. Why do I need double screen if I have a queen excluder? Because the queen excluder is so thin that if you're trying to separate two queens, they will kill each other. So if you're using it for that purpose, to try to have two queens in one hive, you need a double screen. If you're just trying to keep a queen out of a box, a queen excluder is all you need. On average, how long does it take a package to draw out a deep box and be ready for a super? Again, that depends on you not looking at your calendar, not listening to a Facebook group, not necessarily listening to somebody on YouTube like me right now, but you need to hear somebody like me tell you to use your own critical thinking skills, because only your bees can tell you. Every hive is different. Every area is different with the nectar. They have to process a lot of nectar to make wax. It depends on you and your bees and your condition. But I would say in most places where nectar is available in the spring, they're going to fill out 5 to 7 frames. If the weather's good and the bees are healthy, 2 to 3 weeks. Michael, what would make the bees make cells if they already have queen in the hive? They're want to swarm, so they make swarm cells. That's how they reproduce and make a new colony. Or they're wanting to replace their queen because your queen is failing. They're making new cells for a new queen. All right. Nicholas. Hi, David. Can I put a queen excluder between 2 deeps to determine where the queen is and do a walkway split and put a queen in the one without the eggs? Absolutely. Brilliant. Way to go, Nicholas. Yay. Critical thinking skills. You got it, buddy. Makes sense. I mean, don't need to ask me. It just makes sense, right? You take a queen away, one hive's going to have the queen and eggs and the other one's not, and you put a queen in the one that doesn't have the eggs. Brilliant. I do that all the time. These questions are left over from my live stream last night, and I love that live stream. I spent a lot of time getting the teaching ready on what they don't tell you about beekeeping. It's like a secret. And you always wonder, right? I see some beekeepers really doing well. They're doing sharp. Their hives are doing great. They're wonderful. Everything they touch turns to gold. And my hives don't do as good as theirs. And everything I touch turns to a lump of coal. If you feel that way, you feel like, what am I missing out on? What do these people tap into that I haven't tapped into? I need that. Well, I'm going to give you the secret sauce in that video that I made on live stream. It's available for you guys because it's a replay, but it's all there for you to soak it up. Going to be really good for you. It will. It literally changed my beekeeping career when I started applying this. I want you to do it. Check the video out right over here. I'll see you guys over there.